Hey everybody, Sean here from the Black Page, and I am with the one and only Thomas Lang. Thomas,
hey Sean,
how you doing?
Very, very good.
We are in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia for one of the boot camps that Thomas puts on. Question for you. There it is. Thomas
See that?
Lang, drummer, boot camp.
With the swag and everything.
With the swag, right? What inspired you to put the boot camp together, Thomas?
It really grew out of a very a way to kill time on the road, to be honest.
Right.
I started to teach private lessons when I was touring in around 2005, 2006, when social media first kind of came up.
Right.
You know, I was on MySpace. Remember MySpace? So I'd put, I'm in Stockholm right now, or we'll be playing in Amsterdam tomorrow. So people read that on MySpace.
Gotcha.
And then wrote me back and said, hey, I read you're in Amsterdam. Do you have time before or after sound check to give me a lesson? So when that first started happening, I hate sitting around on the road and not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I said, sure, I've got 6 hours in the morning, so I'll, come to my hotel. We've got a meeting room downstairs and a couple of pads, and we'll start, working on something. So I've got something to do, and you get a lesson, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So after a while, word got out that I'm doing these lessons out on the road before shows or between shows or on days off.
Yeah.
And people started bringing their buddies and said, hey, do you mind if I bring 2 of my buddies? Or, I'm studying with 6 other guys and we'd all like to come.
Yeah.
So I ended up with smaller groups and then larger groups up to a point where it became very chaotic.
Right.
And I had to organize it and plan it a little bit. And then I turned this into events that are a little more organized and multi-day events.
Gotcha.
And I started using off days on the road to host camps in the most bizarre places on the planet. Places that I couldn't travel to teach without being on the road with somebody already. So if I happened to be in Oslo and I had 3 days before the show in Bergen or something, I could do a camp in Oslo or in Bergen.
Yeah.
So that's how the whole thing started, and it developed into quite sort of a beast, over the years.
As you developed the program, I would imagine a lot of the ways that you learned and the ways that you sort of developed your skills. Do you input that into the boot camp itself and teach the people, the tricks that you've learned over the years to not fast track, but there's ways of practicing smarter.
You can use that word fast track.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
totally do. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I honestly, I really try to teach them every trick I know and every shortcut I know, if there are any.
Yeah.
And there are some, not many, but there are some.
Yeah.
And give them every possible and piece of advice and all the great information I received from my teachers and that I've gathered and collected over the years. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Growing up, Thomas, do you remember your first? Was the drums your first love, or I know you're a multi-instrumentalist, so the reason I ask is I'm curious. Was drums the love at first bite, or was there an instrument before that?
No, that was it. There was an instrument. It was the flute.
Yeah,
like everybody had to play it. Cut that out. I never played the flute. No, but of course, we all in like preschool everybody played flute. That was my first introduction to music. Very uncool, very unhip. But when I first saw a drummer play on television at age 4, and drums were on my radar, I saw this drummer play on TV, and he seemed like he was the boss because he was the only one in the band sitting down. I thought it was very cool.
Yep.
And everybody had to stand up, and he was like sitting like behind the office desk, and he counted off the song. Dude, everybody had to look at him, so he seemed to be in charge.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
And then because of that, drums were on my radar, and I saw a drummer perform live a couple of days after that, and I walked up towards the bass drum from the front as a 4-year-old. It was probably a 24-inch bass drum or so, and I held onto the hoop, and the guy was going nuts as I was holding onto the bass drum. So that really touched me, and I was forever infected with the drum virus from that moment on. And since that moment, drums were it for me. And I bugged my mom to get me drum lessons and a drum set, and she agreed if I learn a real instrument too. So I had to start playing piano at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
So I started piano and drums at the same time.
Oh, wow.
and then played piano and drums for many years until I started studying music at the Conservatory and Music Academy in Vienna, and then picked up bass and a few other instruments too along the way. Yeah. But I've always been playing more than one instrument from day one. Yeah. But drums were always my first and biggest love, and I never practiced as much on any other instrument. It was always the drums for me. Yeah.
I know you're a producer as well, and you're quite busy from time to time as a producer. Do you? I find many people say this. I find this myself. When you get to sit back and be in the editing process, how valuable are some of those lessons for techniques? We were talking. You were with Charlie Watts, and the reason I bring this up was you were able to literally physically see Charlie's style.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is great with technology. We're able to do that now.
Yeah.
How important a lesson, or how important is it, do you think, for drummers to take a chance to sit back and become a production assistant, or just any kind of behind the glass work, and look at the piecing together of a piece of music, not being involved in it as an artist?
Right. Well, I think it's very important to be in somebody else's shoes and an observer from a different perspective every once in a while. Yeah. Because you, as a drummer, in one particular role, from one particular point of view and perspective, which is from behind the drum set, you have a little bit of tunnel vision. You tend to develop, a very great and very distinct sort of eye for your area of expertise, but sometimes forget to listen to the whole big picture, or you don't see the forest for all the trees, if you know what I mean. You get that kind of, you're in your world of time and whatever, subdivision and micro timing and bass and drum and rhythm section, but you sometimes tend to forget what it's all about, that it's really about the confetti and the pyros at that point, and not about your cool, double flammable. So it's important, I think, to step back behind the glass and listen and look at the whole thing, and get involved with as many angles as possible in the music industry in general. It's good to know about everything anyways. It's good to know about recording and engineering and arranging and producing and writing and video editing and everything else as well. So you really know what your part is in this whole big machinery, And I think it helps in many ways, one of which is that I think it takes some of that seriousness and pressure off you. If you know that you're one of the many wheels that are turning here, and really, if you're not performing like at your super duper best every night, it's still gonna work, So it takes a little bit of that edge off, and I think it helped me at least to ease into a more relaxed way of working, because I know that there's many other parts that are working and wheels that are turning, and I don't have to control everything all the time. I don't have to be. It's okay if this guy does his part, and I can just listen to him and enjoy what he's doing, and enjoy what that guy is doing, and appreciate this person's work, and just do my little piece of work, and it's all gonna work and gel and function. And so yes, I think it's very, very important. It gives you a really great whole sort of picture of a song and an arrangement, a whole album or a whole production. It's important.
Curious. I mean, and now that you've been doing so much stuff, you've been the boot camps, the performing, the studio sessions. When you do get a chance to sit back and actually listen as an observer, and I know that's tough for us because we're consistently critical because we are trained or whatever. What art do you appreciate as an observer, whether it be audio or visual, that you can actually sit back and enjoy being an audience member?
All art I can enjoy and appreciate. I mean, music as much as other things. I come from a very artistic family, and my brother is in fact an art teacher and does art movies and is very, very artistic, and so is my sister with graphic design and stuff. We're a very artistic family. And I do very much appreciate art, fine art. I appreciate, painting and sculpting, anything that is artistic, whether it's movies or, graphic design or electronic art or performance, theater. I love it all. I'm into everything. And music as much as others. As a passive, listener and audience, I can appreciate all of them equally. Music, maybe I have the most appreciation for because I know the most about it.
Yeah, right.
And I can really appreciate nuance and detail and personalities and the quality of performance and everything. And there is in music there's that element of, it's a different element of skill in fine arts, for example,
Yeah.
or in electronic art.
Yeah.
Or performance art. You can be just shocking and controversial, and I can appreciate that.
Right.
I mean, I find weird, provocative, very bizarre performances quite cool and artistic and entertaining and interesting.
Right.
But I wouldn't necessarily find weird, bizarre, great, weird music as entertaining
Right.
for myself. I'm more critical and more like I know what I want more in the world of music.
Yeah.
So, but I can as much appreciate, great performances or great talent and great arrangements of songs, even more so than maybe other stuff. So I like everything. I'm a fan of art.
What do you wish you were better at?
The list is long. The first thing that comes to mind is cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not a good cook.
No.
Well, you probably eat so healthy. That,
Well, I cook and I try, and I work hard on it.
Yeah.
I try, I try new recipes, and it's very time consuming.
Yes.
But I do.
Yeah.
But my wife's killer cook, and everything she does, she slaughters. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of we appreciate food very much, so
Yeah.
we're a bit of foodies, and we go and
Foodies,
eat
yeah.
out a lot and stuff, and we go to beautiful restaurants. And I'm just always, I wish I could cook like that.
Yeah. Who were some of your influences? Say even maybe 2 or 3 to be a little specific. Drumming wise, who really caught your ear and said, "Oh man, I just love listening to that drummer"?
Well, 2 or 3. Well, I'll give you Ian Pace,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Stuart Copeland,
Yeah.
And Vinny.
Vinny called you that.
Also, very much so, Billy Cobham, Tony Williams,
Yeah.
Ringo and Buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those were my real big childhood influences. And the order would probably be Ringo, Buddy,
Yeah.
because those were the first 2 that I really discovered because my first teacher gave me records.
Right.
And I really kind of dug in deep into that. So Ringo, Buddy. Then it would probably be Ian Pace
Yeah.
and Stuart Copeland and Billy Cobham at around the same time.
Right.
And then I moved into learning more via Billy Cobham and Mahavishnu Orchestra and Deodato and all those records he played on in the 70s. I discovered fusion music and Lenny White and the Weather Report and Vinny and Frank Zappa and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So then I was in the world of fusion and jazz, and I was Tony Williams, and that was it. Vinny and Tony, and all the other great drummers of the 70s. I mean, all the great rock drummers. Everybody from John Bonham, Phil Rudd, and all those guys, up to all the fusion guys. Alphonse Mousson, I thought he was so cool. Lenny White, of course, Billy Cobham, Peter Erskine, Omar Hakim, all the guys, Weather Report, and Miles Davison's drummers, and all the great jazz drummers, Max Roach, Jack DeJohnette.
Wow.
And I ate it all up.
Yeah.
And I stole from everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's important as a drummer. You do need to appreciate. I know, talking to Peter at one time, he said, "No, you don't have to master jazz, but there might be something in jazz
Absolutely.
that you love."
And I studied jazz, and I took jazz I still do take it very seriously. And a lot of people don't know that I've played a lot of jazz, and I've played with a lot of great jazz players and with big bands, and I studied, jazz. So, jazz is totally my bag, and I love jazz.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the most favorite genre of music or scene to work in for me personally, but I really appreciate and love it very much, and I agree completely. There's something to be found and to be learned in any style of music.
Yeah. Speaking of performing, you've got a few projects on the go with Paul Gilbert coming up soon.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the stuff you have on your
plate. Well, with Paul, I've been playing with him for a while, for a couple years now, and we're making a new album now in the summer, in June, and then tour after that, and love playing with Paul. I'm also, speaking of guitarists, I'm also on the road with Tony McAlpine a lot this year. We're doing Japan and Korea, China, India, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, a huge tour. And And speaking of Japan, and one of my projects, which is based in Japan, is called Spark 7 with a fantastic guitar player named Isao Fujita from Japan. We just put a new record out at the end of last year called Spark 7. And that's very interesting. Actually, Tony McAlpin also guesting on this record. It's a great album with Philip Bino on bass from Steve Weiss Band. And Kiyomi Otaka and myself and Isao Fujita, great. And another guitar player I work with, his name is Konrad Schrenk. He's from Vienna, and I've been working with him for many, many years in different projects and configurations and constellations of bands and band members. We had a band together called Save the Robots for many years.
Oh, wow.
And we now have, we put out some records as that, and now we put out a record last year called Humaflex. So we're busy, again, working on a new album and also touring, playing sort of one-offs and short trips and tours here and there, doing a lot of stuff in Asia, doing jazz festivals. So yeah, I work with a lot of different guitar players. I like guitar players, so you can tell. And
so are you this? So you have Thomas has a record label and a production company called Muso Entertainment.
Yes, exactly.
And you're releasing some of these.
Yes, actually, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've been focusing on guitar players. Like last year we put out Giacomo Castellano's record. He's a fantastic guitar player from Italy. Also Marco Iacobini. We put out like an all-star record. On that album we have also Stu Ham is on it. We have Keith Carlock, drummer-wise. We have Keith Carlock. We have Joel Taylor. We have Mike Tarana. We have Phil Maturano. Myself, Dave Weckler on it. So it's a real all-star band. Great bass players. Tony Levin, Stu Ham. Bill Berman's on it, and like really great players. So we focus on real skilled musicians and great musicianship with the label. Hence the name Muso Entertainment. It's really targeted for music fans and musos, and so we try to put out. It's a boutique label, but we do the best we can to put out good music. And release a few albums a year, including of course stuff that I write and produce, my projects, but also bands we sign and artists we work with from all over the world.
Wonderful. You've got a big drum boot camp. Now the Big Drum Bonanza is different than the boot camp.
Yes.
But you've got a big one coming up soon. You've got some Rich Redmond's on there.
Yeah.
A bunch of good guys.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the Big Drum Bonanza that's coming up and what it is and how it got put together.
Well, the Big Drum Bonanza is my annual drum camp on steroids in Los Angeles. Okay.
Don't use steroids.
Yeah, and of course Bonanza, I'm sure you all know, means a gold mine. So it's really a gold mine for any drummer and drum student and drum fan out there. It's a LA-based event. It always happens in Los Angeles. Every year it happens on Independence Day. That weekend, Independence Day.
That's right.
So it's always 4th of July weekend every year in Los Angeles, and it's a really crazy hoo-ha event. It's at a very beautiful hotel called the Palm Garden Hotel in LA. It's beautiful. There's pools and gyms and free Wi-Fi and breakfast, of course, and you can bring your boyfriend or girlfriend and they stay for free. So it's good times, and we have private lessons with some of the best drummers in the world. So, and you have master classes with the best drummers on the planet, and you have group lessons, we have performances, clinics, we do a drum workshop factory tour, we stream a live show or multiple live shows from Drum Channel with performances of these guys, with bands, clinics, everything. So it's really nuts, and you're spending every day, all day, with these fantastic teachers. And just to give you an idea, in the recent years we always have 6 or 7 teachers every year, and it's a 5-day event. So you spend literally at least 1 full day or 2 days with each one of these teachers. And we've had Virgil Donati multiple times at the camp, Chris Coleman multiple times. We've had Jeff Hamilton, amazing jazz guy. We've had George Colias, Feet from Hell, and Derek Roddy. We've had Kenny Aronoff. We've had Stanton Moore. Now this year, for example, this summer we have Rich Redmond, Matt Garska, who's been there also before from Animals as Leaders, Rich Redmond from Jason Aldean, of course, We have Greg Bissonette, who's of course with Ringo Starr and David Lee Roth, etc. We have myself, I'm teaching. We have also Gergo Borlai, who's a Hungarian drum phenom, unbelievable player,
that's right.
fantastic. He plays with Tribal Tech and
right.
Scott Kinsey. So it's going to be an amazing event. I invite the drummers that I really like and that I know are real cutting edge,
Right.
super
Yeah.
high end sort of 21st century drumming,
Yeah.
and can really not only play like nobody else but also teach. And it's been really great in the past few years.
Any skill level can show
Anybody
up.
can show up, absolutely.
Where do we find the information and?
Go to www.bigdrumbonanza.com. There's a great theme song that goes www.bigdrumbonanza.com. It's true.
I think I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
It was very well
Go
done.
to www.bigdrumbonanza.com. Yeah.
Thomas, pleasure.
Thank you, Sean.
Black Page Readers, check us out online. Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus One. Give us your comments. Let us know if you've been to Thomas's boot camp. Share your experiences. Share your pictures and all your wonderful experiences with Thomas's lessons. If you're going to head to the boot camp, make sure you go online, check it out, get it done now because it's probably going to fill up really fast. I would imagine. And in the meantime, Thomas.
Go to www.bigdrumbonanza.com. Thank you, Sean.
See you again.
I'll see you guys.